Welcome to Muslim Apologetics Australia. So again, we're doing a video response to Sheik M.Tawhidi. As you know, I've been refuting his points against Islam, and basically he's banned me, he's deleted and removed my videos. So it's great that I'm getting his attention and he doesn't like it. That's fantastic. We need to do our utmost best and expose these liars, these infidel kafirs. Now, that's Sheik Tawhidi, as you can see in the picture on the left-hand side, but he looks exactly like Man Monis. Notice how they're basically dressed the same. Man Monis presented himself as a Shia Muslim, but he claimed he became a Sunni Muslim. This is the guy that blew up and shot people at Link Cafe and committed that terrorism in Sydney. Now, you need to understand that the underground forces, whether it's the Illuminati, the Zionists, what they do is to try and break down Islam and try and destroy Islam. They create their own puppet figures, right? And Man Monis, I believe he was a victim of that. He was hired to destroy Islam, and basically he paid the consequence for that. He acted like he was an Irani, and he acted like a Sunni Muslim to go out and kill those people and commit terrorism, right? And this is what they've done. Now they've got rid of Man Monis. He's out of the picture, all right? So the best thing that they could do is now create another figure that looks similar to him. So notice they dress him up exactly the same. Sheik Tawhidi from South Australia, this fake imam that has just recently come on stage. Notice the similarities between the two pictures. The way they dress them up, put the glasses, make them wear a beard, make them dress up as a phobe. And interestingly, both of their background are Irani Shia. These are one of the major hypocrites of Islam. So they dress them up and they make them try and fight against Islam, trying to basically cause confusion amongst the Muslim Ummah. And this is his Facebook page. I mean, look how interesting it is. And this is what they do. The Zionist agendas, these dark forces, they actually set up these fake imams so they can cause confusion amongst the Muslim societies. Look at him. He's clearly self-proclaimed. He's got no other followers in his office. Have a look. He's sitting there by himself in the picture. Look at that. Look at the building he's in. It looks like some major governmental office somewhere in probably the CBD of South Australia, in the city somewhere. I mean, it doesn't even look like a mosque. Notice the doors, the entry of the carpet, the particular furniture. So even the ceiling of the roof, I mean, it looks, pretty exquisite. This guy claims that he does things for free. He works for free about the marriage celebrant, and it's all done for free, but he seems to be in a luxurious office, and it's clearly set up. And look at the Australian flag right at the back. I mean, I don't have a problem with the Australian flag, but it shows that the guy, he didn't go out and pay for that Australian flag. That's monumentum. Look at that. That thing's probably worth at least $300 or $400. He definitely has people behind him doing this for him, whether it's the government, whether it's the underground dark forces of Zionism. Someone's pushing him to do what he is. This guy, where's the bookshelf? He claims he's an imam. Is that his imam boardroom? He doesn't even have a bookshelf with various religious books. What is that? A painting in the background? This is just absurd. Is this his Islamic office? Have a look here. He actually pretends to write something. Look, it's an open page. He hasn't written anything there. Look, it just looks like a clean book. A complete clean book. Nothing on there. It's just the first page. He's not even writing anything. Is he pretending to write something? Everything looks just so clean, pristine. It's like the government or the underground forces are just buying him things to say, here, look, just act like an imam for us. And which imam does this? I mean, look how he even publishes him praying on the floor. Have a look. And is that a rock he's praying to? He's putting his head on a rock. He's a Rafidi Shia, right? And the interesting thing is the Australian media is presenting him as a speaker for the Muslims, yet the guy's a Shia. He's a deviant. It's like presenting a Mormon to speak on behalf of Catholics and Protestants. And this is what they want. They want to divide the Muslims to say this is what Islam is. And they want to create confusion to get Muslims to wrestle with other Muslims. So let's go ahead and listen to more of the lies he posts.
But first tonight, the terrifying death threats levelled against Adelaide's most controversial Muslim leader, Imam Tawhidi, has been...
Now, this isn't something new. See, the media is trying to promote him now to say, look, he's got all these death threats made against him. And remember, in his previous videos, he actually lied. He said something like he was offered $3 million to shut his mouth. I mean, first of all, which Muslim organization even has $3 million to even provide? I mean, we spend so much money and time and effort to even raise $10,000 or $20,000, which takes us months and months and months. And this guy is telling us that, you know, he just randomly got offered $3 million to shut his mouth. This is self-promotion. These are lies, right? And he's a Shia. And of course, the Islamophobes will call this man taqiyya, right? So why is it that suddenly the Australian media is now believing in a Muslim making such claims? I thought that Muslims believed in taqiyya, right? So suddenly when it promotes secularism, when it promotes, we're trying to end Sharia, we're trying to stop the Quran and so forth, then this man is suddenly speaking the truth. It's not about taqiyya anymore. Let's have a listen.
Become a target for speaking out against extremism. Now, claims he was physically abused during a meeting with other Islamic...
Well, even Walid Ali was targeted. You don't go out and blow his trumpet. Walid Ali spoke against extremism, against ISIS as well. And he will receive their threats. But you don't go trumpeting that around now, do you? So interestingly, Walid Ali becomes a closet jihadi, an underground Muslim that promotes peace, but really it's not about peace. But when it comes to Imam Tawhidi, suddenly the death threats are legitimate, the guy is speaking the truth, and that's why he's being threatened. Notice this is the confusion the secular West want to show. They want to show that radical Islam is prevalent. It is here in Islam, and it's a majority, and people are trying to kill those who speak against Islam. But it's nonsense. It's all a lie.
Leaders. It comes as a fundamentalist group has issued a chilling warning of executions on Australian soil. Yazdedovic has our story.
I was manhandled. They grabbed my hand, they shoved me, cornered me between my chair and my table. You're not intimidating.
Okay, notice how they're already doing a reenactment. It's a complete lie. I mean, this man, if he thought he was really threatened, and he knew he was a target from the very beginning, right? He claims that, you know, he's being threatened for his lives. Are you telling me that he sat with these extremist Muslims in a meeting and there was no recording? He's in a pristine office. There's no video surveillance. There's no cameras of this meeting taking place. He has no video footage, no audio footage, nothing. So he was basically sitting there while he was being interrogated by these Muslims. You really believe this phony? Right? You really believe it?
Sit down, that's disrespectful.
Sheik Imam Tawhidi is the Shia Muslim leader who has taken on ISIS, extremist views, Sharia law, and now Islamic leaders in SA.
No, I'm being respectful. You just don't like it when I'm speaking. That's not a smart move to make.
The moderate cleric claims he was shoved and verbally abused by senior figures in Adelaide's Muslim community at a meeting last week.
You try to silence the only man in this country that's facing extremism.
As a precaution, he recorded himself during the confrontation.
Don't threaten anyone. Don't touch me.
He believes the hostility is as a result of his calls to reform Islam from within.
See, this guy is nothing new. The video actually, it's not even a clip of the actual event. It's a total reenactment. And like I said, it's to promote this guy. The media is promoting this guy. You know why? Because their objective is to change Islam. That is their whole objective. They don't want to restore Islam to what it is and tell the terrorists to stop misinterpreting the Quran, because that's exactly what their objective is. It's to cancel the Quran completely out. It's to cancel the Hadith literature completely out and claim it's not part of Islam. Their objective is not to give the correct interpretation of the verses, right? Because we know the correct interpretation of the verses. ISIS terrorists try and misinterpret the Quran. We already know that. But we've already countered that. We've written many articles against their misinterpretation of the text. But see, their objective doesn't end there. Their objective is to cancel the Quran and the Hadith completely. This is what they mean when they say we're trying to reform Islam, right? This is don't get me wrong, this is exactly what they mean, and you will see it throughout the video. See, that's exactly what Australia was missing. Australia was missing a Masjid Nawaz. Nawaz tried to do that in the UK and in Europe, and all of the Muslim councils and experts and scholars and sheikhs, they all rejected him. All of the schools, even the moderate Muslims reject Masjid Nawaz, because Masjid Nawaz, he came in there trying to say we need to reform Islam and we need to change this and change that. But in essence, they were disbelievers. They literally rejected verses of the Quran and the Hadith. It wasn't about let's, give it a new interpretation. It's basically rejecting the tenets of Islam. So that's what Australia needed here in Australia. The Australians wanted a Masjid Nawaz, and that's what they've got now with this sheikh, right? This fake sheikh. So now they're trying to promote this sheikh in the media so he can bring up these questions against Muslims to cause division and confusion.
His criticisms of the Grand Mufti and his warnings about plans for a caliphate in Australia.
I thought they were going to say, well, you know what, Imam Tawhidi, good on you, we're with you. But as soon as I sat down, I realized that they're here to interrogate me.
This is absolutely nonsense. No Muslim would say to a Shia, we are with you and we're going to sit with you. We have a complete different theological look on the Quran. So why should we even sit down with Sheik Tawhidi? It doesn't make sense. It's like a Protestant and a Catholic is going to sit with a Mormon to work out theological differences. No, he'll be an outcast all the time. It's not going to work. We will sit with people who understand the Quran and who accept it. Sheik Tawhidi rejects the Quran as understood by the companions of the Prophet, and he rejects the Hadith. So why would anyone want to sit with Sheikh Tawhidi? No Muslim scholar would want to sit with him unless he was a Sunni, right? And it doesn't make sense that a Christian, a Protestant or a Catholic would want to sit with a Mormon to work out the theological arguments for the Bible.
He didn't imagine senior local Islamic leaders would berate him and his secretary during a meeting he was asked to attend in order to discuss his views.
They are very concerned about my statements in the media because it is not, according to them, it is not in the public's interest.
Imam Tawhidi claims when he refused, the situation became heated, with each side accusing the other of disrespect, leading Imam Tawhidi to report the matter to police. When we contacted those in the meeting, they denied the allegations of intimidation.
I will continue in this country.
Why aren't they giving the names of the apparent Muslim leaders? Where are their names even mentioned in this report? Please, why don't they even post the police report? Where is the confirmation coming from the police? This is why the media is lying. They are following a man who's making these allegations and these lies. There was no meeting to begin with. The guy is just a liar and a man that does not speak the truth. He's portraying an event that took place, but it didn't take place, only to gain fame, right? It's really popular to say, I've just been a victim of bully, this actually helps my cause because what I'm saying must be true, because people are against me and people want to kill me. It's that old same tune, right? It's that old same blowing the trumpet to show that what I'm saying is true, because if I get death threats, it means that is true, and that's why I'm getting death threats. It's really a bunch of nonsense and a bunch of lies. This man is not receiving death threats, and if it is, it's not even coming from the Muslim scholars or intimidation from the Muslim scholars or the Muslim leaders in Australia. There was no meeting.
And I will issue my statements, and I will make my voice heard.
While local leaders of extremism, he's concerned a few speak out against groups like Hizb ut-Tahrir when they make declarations such as,
"Do you want to kill ex-Muslims?"
As such, in Islam, it's clear that apostates do attract capital punishment, and we don't shy away from that.
Banned in many countries, the fundamentalist group has a draft constitution.
Did you notice what the media did beautifully? It didn't go and say that these Muslims, it didn't even provide a video to show that the Muslims were out to kill Sheik Tawhidi. They then stopped the clip, and it goes beyond that. It speaks about something completely different. It doesn't even speak about Sheik Tawhidi. It just speaks about some Muslim organization that wants to kill apostates. Right? And it's got nothing to do with Sheik Tawhidi. They literally joined two videos together to enforce what Sheik Tawhidi was saying about him being a target is true, when Hizb ut-Tahrir hasn't even issued any statement to kill Sheik Tawhidi. Why did they join the two videos together? Well, maybe that's something that has... Well, you think about it, why they did it. What other meaning can that have other than the fact that they're trying to promote Sheik Tawhidi and they're trying to promote that he's being targeted here? He's not being targeted. It's the media manipulation to say that, look, we don't really have anything strong, anything concrete as evidence to prove what we're saying is true, so we'll just find a video over there and then we'll link them together and say that this man is being targeted.
Wants to put in place in Australia. Article 7.3 reads, "Those who are guilty of apostasy from Islam are to be executed." The confronting statement was made at a meeting in Sydney over the weekend and terrified this former Muslim who had attended.
And now that I've come over here, I know that they're the same people. They're already over here.
Yeah, so there you go. They'll keep saying and parroting the same nonsense. And of course, this law, of course, it's probably most generally taken out of context. I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure that Hizb ut-Tahrir didn't actually want to enforce that here, but possibly in a Muslim country where it has a Sharia system and not in Australian constitution. But of course, they like to manipulate the text and try and combine it together. So we've heard enough of that nonsense. Let's forward it.
Hey brother, how do you want your execution? Shooting or beheading, you damn Shia?
There you go. He can only bring a Facebook Twitter comment where he's been threatened. And of course, you'll find that online social media. It doesn't mean that these people are from Australia. They could be abroad, or it could only be a very minority percent. I mean, I even personally received death threats. You can go to my YouTube comments. I've been threatened by even non-Muslims, but do I go out and dramatize that? No. So this actually, he's basically trying to manipulate the Muslims to say that they're radicals and that he's been threatened, but there was no meeting. There was no meeting. There was no threats made. He's just causing disunity and mischief. And of course, this is all planned. This is all planned by the government, right? You're probably saying, oh, how can you believe in these conspiracy theories? It's true. This is what the media does. They create these false, fake puppets in order to disunite the Muslims. And they did that. And we're seeing that play out right now. And that's why he's given all this promotion. How come the media doesn't call Muslim experts like Sheikh, for example, Naumin Ali Khan, like Muslim intellectuals who can come out and debate and show these truths of Islam and refute these people about the allegations they make against Islam? People like giants like Yasir Qadi. Why don't they invite people like this to speak on behalf of Muslims? Why do they handpick their own puppet people who have just come out on the stage to speak on behalf of Muslims and to try and discredit Islam and Sunni Muslims? This is what they do. The guy is a Shiite. It's the best platform they could give to try and destroy Islam and Muslims and make us look in the bad light, is to bring a Shia. What better person can you bring on the stage? Right? Like Rita Pinahi, she's an Irani sellout. She's an atheist think tank that's claiming she's a Muslim, and she's given Herald Sun. She speaks and she writes columns on the Herald Sun as a journalist. Can you believe this? She speaks on mainstream radio, discrediting Islam. Why are these people put in these certain positions? Why are they promoting Ayan Ali Hirsi to come and speak? Again, these people don't represent Islam. They're not scholars of Islam. They're not even Sunni Muslims. Why are they speaking on behalf of Sunni Muslims who have a completely different theology? Most of these people have even claimed that they're non-religious, like Majid Nawaz. He claims he's not a religious man, yet he wants to claim that he wants to reform Islam. So why are they picking these individuals? Why? Because they're trying to change the religion.
These tactics are exactly why he is speaking out.
There should be a united stance from the Muslim leaders in this country against extremism without having to be...
We already have the Council of Muslims and they're all united. They've issued fatwa after fatwa against extremism. We did not need you to come here. And notice, look, they're showing him praying. Like,
threatened from the moderate
he's
side.
Such a religious person. Allah says in the Quran, do not even show off your prayer. So what did you do? Tell the camera crew to say, listen guys, I need to now pray. Watch me pray, folks. I'm praying for the video. Look, here you go. Allahu Akbar. I'm praying. So basically, you're praying while there's a video camera crew in that room. It was Salah time, was it? So the camera crew was so interested in your prayer that they had to record you praying. Or is that part of you showing off? Is that part of you pretending to be what you are, a religious figure? That you have to pray in front of the camera? By yourself, by the way. Right? You are an imam of a mosque, but you're praying your salah by yourself. I'm pretty sure you're not praying your sunnah prayers, right? Are you praying your sunnah prayers? You should be praying your sunnah prayers even with the jama'ah. Right? In the mosque, that's what Shia imams do anyway. So what are you doing praying by yourself? It doesn't make sense. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, But look at the camera angle. The camera angle is literally on the floor. It's at carpet level. You literally requested the camera to come at the floor level with you so they can see you pray. Have a look.
But first tonight, the test Adelaide's most controversial Muslim leader.
Let's go to another video with this kafir infidel, the way he rejects Islam openly, and he's presented as a Muslim speaker for the Muslims. Let's have a listen.
Muslims won't survive, and nobody will survive if it doesn't reform itself. And by reformation, I mean getting rid of books such as this. This here is Sahih al-Bukhari, Andrew.
That's one of the sacred texts. It's not the Quran, but it's one of the Sahih.
This here is placed right next to the Quran in any Muslim shelf.
So you think ditch one of the holiest texts in Islam, or the holiest text outside the Quran? You think ditch it?
Ditch it and ban it, and it should be illegal to have this book. Let me read for you.
I'm just wondering, when you go and say things like that, how popular are you in the Muslim community?
I'm not popular at all because they don't like this.
So how can you now come out and say you want to sit with the Muslims and you say you want to reject the whole book completely? How is that even possible? And then he says the Muslims are against me. He says the Muslims do not want to sit with me and they want to shove me and act abusive towards me. I doubt that even took place, like I said in the beginning of this video. But for him to claim that he wants to reform Islam and he wants to remove the whole book and say, is this your part of reformation? That's exactly what they're trained to do. They want to remove Islam. They're handpicked by the Zionists. Let's continue with this rat face.
When the Quran came down, this needs to be understood by Australia. The Quran came down to a tribe of ignorant people. It didn't come down to educated people.
Yeah, but this is Kaiser Trad saying it applies now.
Kaiser Trad has lost the plot.
Actually, this guy is a liar to say the Quran came down to ignorant people and uneducated. In fact, there were educated people amongst the tribes. There were noble people, there were rich people, there were wealthy people. To say that the Quran came to uneducated people is basically nonsense. We know that there were even Christians amongst the Quraysh. We know that there were learned Jews even amongst the Quraysh. So when he says the Quran came down to ignorant people, he's just a bunch of nonsense. Let's continue.
The review, all of it. They all need a review. This is wrong. The Quran says beat them. Why? Why does the Quran say that? Because they were burying them alive. So the Quran said, listen, don't...
What an absolute liar. Now he's trying to justify Surah 434 to say you can beat your wife because there were Qurayshi people or Muslims who used to bury their daughters. This is a lie. This is an absolute lie. It has no parallel. The Quraysh, the pagans, used to bury their daughters alive, and the Quran came to say in a noble verses, Surah 81, verses 8 through to 10, it says, those who bury their daughters alive, what sin has that child done? Their infant child. What sin? Because the Quraysh used to bury their female daughters because it was shameful to have a female daughter. So the Quran elevated the position of women and said, do not kill them just because they're girls. Allah is the one who provides. Do not be shameful because it's a girl, because it's going to bring shame to your family. So the Quran came to clear that. Surah 434 has got no relationship with burying daughters, and that's why the Quran came to say, look, don't bury them, just beat them. It's got no relationship. It's talking about the infant child. It's not talking about elderly women and trying to admonish them. It's got no relationship with the two. I mean, this guy is just ridiculous.
Don't kill your wife and daughter, but give her a tap on the hand.
In the dominant position, that he's got to go and even symbolically tap the woman on the hand. Hey, wait a minute. That doesn't fit with our society.
It doesn't at all, and that is wrong. I believe that if a man hit his wife, and I want Australia to hear this from me, if a man hits his wife and it turns red, if he does this to her, presses hard, it turns red, he needs to pay a fine in gold.
He needs to pay a fine in gold. It's nothing in the Quranic or Hadith narration to say you have to give a fine in gold. It's ridiculous, actually. It's actually a sin. It's a sin to actually beat your wife and leave a mark on her. In fact, I'll post a video below this video where I refute Surah 434, and Sheikh Ibn Abbas, the greatest giant scholar of Islam, has clearly said that this verse regarding beating is to be conducted in a non-violent fashion. Obviously, if it's something non-violent, it's only metaphorical. It's like tapping a drum. You should tap your wife, just like security guards in crowd control might tap people or push them away. And the Quranic text doesn't even say push them away or put them into grappling holes like you see crowd controllers do in the security forces. It's actually just to tap them to show your seriousness in your anger. And I've refuted this in my argument. It's got nothing to do with beating. And he's misconstrued Sheik M.Tawhidi's complete utter nonsense that this surah, verse 434, it means, oh, do not kill your wife, just beat your wife. But you can't beat her in a severe way. You can't leave a mark. It's got absolutely no relationship between the two. The killing of women was done by the pagan Quraysh, who used to bury their daughters alive, and the Quran came and said to them, do not do this. It's shameful. It's shameful to do this. Do not do this, and this is a criminal act. And the Quran came to revive and bring the true teachings that women should not be killed. That's the true morality. It's got nothing to do with Surah 434. Let's continue with his discussion with Andrew Bolt.
Hizb ut-Tahrir, the penalty for apostasy is death.
Yes, in Islam, during the first ages of Islam, the first few centuries, there were hypocrites, so-called, who came in Islam and outside to ruin the image. So they will solve this issue, and we will kill whoever does this game with us.
Do you endorse that?
Of course not. I'm against it.
But that's in the Quran.
The Holy Quran itself doesn't say kill.
What does it say?
It says advise them to come back. The Holy Quran itself doesn't say kill.
What does it say?
It says advise them to come back.
Or else?
This guy's a liar. Actually, the Quran doesn't say advise them to come back. Specifically, it doesn't say advise them to come back. Basically, what it does is it pleads with non-believers in general, and it requests them to come to Islam and so forth, but it doesn't specifically talk about an apostate and tells him to come back in the Quran. This is actually found in the Hadith and the Sirah literature and the scholarly understanding that you should advise them to come back to Islam. So this man doesn't even know what he's talking about when it comes to the Quran.
No, if they want to come back, don't come back.
All right,
the Holy Quran itself
says Hizb ut-Tahrir is wrong.
Definitely wrong. The Quran itself says there is no hatred in religion whatsoever. This is the Islam.
I've seen that.
So this guy is a bunch of nonsense. There are different opinions upon this, but notice the opinion that they're trying to put forward, that apostates should be killed. Actually, we have scholars who have said that apostasy, when it's combined with treason and being an enemy to the state, when you're instigating war, that's when apostates get killed, not when apostasy is on its own. And in fact, you can read this point Classical Islamic law interpretation stipulate death as a punishment when apostasy was combined with treason and rebellion against the state, not for blasphemy. This later position is more in line of the Quranic message, and I'll put the Huffington Post link below. Apostasy is understood as a form of treachery against the state. Apostasy, according to Muhammad, was a punishable crime if the accused was found guilty of treachery against the state. In this context, Snowden is an apostate and, for example, a traitor. A man who left Islam and waged war against Allah and His Messenger should be killed or crucified or banished from the land. This is referenced Sunan an-Nasir hadith number 4053, graded Sahih. So notice the man not only left Islam, but he waged war against Islam. So that's why he was killed. Here is proof that a man leaving Islam was not killed, and this is the hadith. Abdullah ibn Sa'd ibn Abu Sa'd would write to the Messenger of Allah, but the devil deceived him and he joined him, the unbelievers. The Messenger of Allah ordered that he should be killed on the day of liberation, but Uthman ibn Affan sought protection from him. So the Messenger of Allah granted him protection. This is in Sunan Abu Dawud 4358. So clearly that obviously Uthman jumped in and said to the Prophet Muhammad that this man obviously wasn't waging war, he just wanted to leave Islam, and that would have obviously took place in the discussion, and the Prophet Muhammad ordered him to live and his protection was granted. Apostasy laws in Islam is similar to Britain's Treason Act 1351, which says compassing the death of the king, queen, or the eldest son, violating the queen or the king's eldest daughter, unmarried, or his eldest son's wife, levying war, adhering to the king's enemies, killing the counselor, treasury of judges in execution of duty. Reference Treason Act 1351. So when the Treason Act is calling to also advocate war, that's exactly what Islam teaches. But of course, Mr. Sheik